Luxury travel isn't just about five-star hotels. It's about elevating your journey with the right partnerships. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on what truly makes a trip seamless, also memorable and worth every penny. And we're doing it with someone who lives in the world of curated, high-end travel experiences. Hi, everyone. I'm Cheryl, host of Cheryl's Travel Blueprint, and I'm here today with Francisco Rello from Classic Vacations. So, hi, Francisco. Thank you so much for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do and your background in travel?
Yes, of course. Well, Cheryl, first of all, thank you for this invitation. I've been seeing some videos of some of the clips that you've been able to put out over the last couple of weeks, and it's just a really great opportunity to be here, talk to your platform, talk to your audience, and just give them some really nice insights in travel because December's here, travel season's coming up, Thanksgiving just passed, Christmas is coming up, so everyone wants to go travel somewhere, especially to get away from the cold weather. So a little bit about myself. I've actually been in this travel industry for 7 years. I started back in 2019 working with travel advisors, and since then I haven't left the industry, and that's something that I really enjoy, whether it's on trade shows, doing sales calls, or even events in fam trips in destination. I've always been able to work with travel advisors. I used to work on the hotel side at a company called Charisma Hotels and Resorts. I was with them for almost 5 years, and now we Classic Vacations at tour operator side, which now we are able to really sell the entire world. So you go from a group of hotels to now selling the entire world. It's an amazing opportunity. And now with Classic in a few days, I'm actually coming up towards my 2 year anniversary. So it's great.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. A fun fact about myself: I used to be a Disney cast member. So that was my first experience in travel. I was able to go to a Disney cast members college program in Orlando when I was on my third year of college. I worked at the Art of Animation. I did that for 3 months, and that's where you really embrace service and what the client goes to be in those parks, to be in those hotels. It really takes a lot from a family to be in there, and that's where you really value what clients do to get there, and it challenges you to give you best service as well.
Oh, that's amazing. I did not know that. That's I think we could probably do a whole episode just talking about that.
Oh, yes. And this is one of those companies that, they're always opening new parks and new attractions. And it's always, it's always more things to do. And since I was a cast member there, every year I tend to come back to Disney. But it's funny because me and my wife always come back to it. And what we do is, I'm a big Dolphins fan too. So NFL fans out there hearing it, I'm a big Miami Dolphins fan. And so what we do, the first year that we did it, we actually went to a Dolphins game first, and then we went to Disney. But the funny thing was, my wife was super stressed because the Dolphins were not playing well. At some point, they won, which was good, which is like, we're not doing Dolphins first. We're doing Disney first, and then we'll finish off watching your Dolphins and just don't care about the outcome. I don't want you stressed at this point.
That way. Definitely. Definitely. The right move.
Because that he has worked out since then. I cannot complain.
Mhm. Very cool. So, let's talk a little bit about classic vacations. And I know that it's one of the suppliers that I look to for inspiration, pretty much. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Classic is a tour operator company. So what we do is we were able to partner with travel advisors across the US and Canada to offer them packages that they can use to offer to their clients. So that could be a flight, hotel, travel protection, tours, transportation. So we're basically your one stop shop. Now, one of the things that makes us unique is that we strictly work with travel advisors. As a tour operator company, we really have over 250 plus staff members that are just there for travel advisors. And one of the best things of working with Classic too is the time we've been in business has been over 48 successful years. And we started once as Classic Hawaii back in the day. And then we've been able to continue to expand across different markets. And nowadays, we're actually offering over 100 different destinations. So if you're a client listening in and looking for that next experience, when Cheryl partners with us, we're going to be able to offer you your dream vacation. We've seen it over the last couple of years. A lot of bucket list vacations are coming to reality, whether it's Europe, whether it's Africa, Asia, the Pacific as well. There's so many opportunities, and we live in a world that is so easy to take a flight, take a 10-hour flight, 12-hour flight, get to your destination. There's so much connectivity, and that's what we do well, giving you the best hotels, the best transportation companies, the best flight options, because what we carry are always going to be 4.5, and 5-star hotels across those 100 different destinations. So when you're working with us, you're really getting quality in what especially if you as a client have invested so much money and time on that yearly vacation, you're going to be matched to your ideal hotel when you work with us.
Mhm. Wonderful. Okay. So during this episode today, what we're gonna be talking about insider trends, destinations that are gaining traction, what makes your itineraries different at classic vacations, and how travelers can elevate their next vacation with expert planning. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Um, so, what excites you the most about working with travel advisors?
With travel advisors, I think the most exciting part is that you're always learning from travel advisors. Like, I remember when I used to work on the hotel side, I used to only sell, it was around 23 different hotels that we were selling. But when you're talking to a travel advisor, the knowledge that all of you carry from different hotels, different destinations, it challenges you to continue to learn about those destinations that you haven't not gone there. And that's one of the most exciting parts, always learning from travel advisors, and always the eagerness and the opportunities to always travel around the world. I have never met a travel advisor that's only been to one hotel or one destination. It's always hundreds of destinations, hundreds of hotels around the world, different fan trip opportunities. So, really working with someone full of knowledge of the destinations that they're selling you. I'm not going to lie, being in this industry for 7 years, I've had travel advisors actually plan my vacations, give me suggested itineraries, because even though and fun fact about me, I actually live in Mexico. So I live in Cancun. So I'm very close to the hotels, and I know a lot of the hotels. It's always so great to hear from a different point of view from someone that's been to different hotels, been to different destinations. So that's one of the most exciting parts of my job. It's just knowing, okay, you're working with someone that they're always looking to learn more about the destination, about trends, and there's never an easy day in the life of a travel advisor either. And that's also really great to know, because there's never comfort zone. There's always finding the best for the clients, always fighting for clients, always doing fam trips. So always working with people that inspire you to be better. It's a blessing to work with travel advisors.
Well, that's great to hear, and I love, you know, I've called in sometimes and talked to your salespeople, and when I'm planning an itinerary, and it's really great. It's very it's just I guess because we have one thing that we have in common is that we just love travel, and then
Yes.
it is just when you listen to like I'm thinking if I were listening to this conversation from the outside, I'd think that these people were planning their own trip because there's just so much excitement and I don't know, just when you're talking about all these great places that you want to plan for your clients, it's just I don't even know how to describe it. It's just
As a travel advisor too, it's like you're not only selling a vacation, you're going back in time, remembering that experience that you're now telling your client that they should do. And when you have the capability of going back into your memories, into your past trips, it gives you such a beautiful way of not just closing a sale for a client, you're really looking for what they best fit what they're looking for.
Mhm. Okay, and I'm gonna switch gears just a little bit and ask you about what makes classic vacations stand out. For example, do you have is there a mission or a philosophy that you go by?
Yes, one of the things, especially in our market, is there is not a lot of tour operators left out there that strictly work with travel advisors. So, our mission or vision is always to empower the travel advisor to help them grow their business, to help them deliver the best vacations for their clients. And that's why all of our staff that it's in there from the reservation teams, which the reservation teams can give you suggested itineraries, they can walk you through different destinations, they can really look for what's best for your client when you're calling in and trying to get some advice from someone. You have a lot of marketing content as well available for you to go out there and send, emails to your clients, high quality videos and pictures of hotels. So a lot of the things that we do is to benefit the travel advisor to have a successful business. And not a lot of companies can say that. And what we put in front of our sales, in front of our team members, is always a travel advisor, and putting the travel advisor in the best situation to deliver the perfect vacation to your client, which is what we want. We want to have our number one client be happy, because if our number one client is happy, then we know your number one client, which is anyone out there looking for a vacation, is having a great time enjoying it.
Mhm. And we as travel advisors really appreciate that. That makes our lives a lot easier for sure. Um, so I know and you kind of alluded to this. Those are kind of some of the things that makes it kind of magical, like the local relationships with the advisors, with the people on the ground that are making all of these things happen, on the ground support, and the itineraries and it just, I just think those are the things that make the magic happen. Just having
And
all of those things available.
one of the things too, and over my 2 years here in the company, I've been blessed enough to travel to a lot of different hotels in Mexico and the Caribbean. And maybe a lot of people find the same experience, but what I've been finding is when you go to these hotels, people recognize, and putting the company aside, people recognize that this was a booking done through Classic Vacations. And one of the things that really stands out with us, it's the years in business. Again, 48 successful years that we've been able to work with travel advisors working on those client vacations. When a client goes to a hotel and it's booked through Classic Vacations, the hotel knows the importance of what they need to do to make that stay extra special. One of the things that we always see with Classic is there's going to be an amenity at some point, or maybe a note. I mean, if you out there want to work on a honeymoon or even an engagement vacation, talk to Cheryl, and Cheryl will talk to us so we can get her in contact with a hotel, because there's always that line of communication that we're always telling the hotel about our clients. Why? Because these the small touches that make the difference. I actually had my first year anniversary back in January of this year. I booked it through Classic with an advisor that helped me. We stayed at Impression Moshe for 3 nights, beautiful hotel. And I remember we got into the room and there was a cake that said happy anniversary. And, to me, it was like, oh wow, like those special touches. And of course, my wife was like literally about to cry of the excitement of what's going to happen throughout the vacation. And little things throughout the entire vacation came together. And that's the power of working with a travel advisor, too, is when a travel advisor partners with a great company, there's always going to be that communication. And there's always going to be that I want to look out and make sure that the hotel or the partner knows about your special celebration. So, that's one of the big perks of when you're working Classic, just the relationships and the partnerships with a lot of these hotels that are going to be hosting you.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's that magic that I was just talking about, that's why travel advisors love partnering with Classic and, just those special touches. Those are really important, and I know that And just like what you were saying, I've experienced little amenities when I've gone on trips, and when people recognize things, it might not seem like a lot, but it really does make a difference. I remember it was my birthday, and didn't I wasn't expecting anything, but I got back to the hotel, and and it was just had this birthday surprise, and I was just like, "Wow, that is so special."
But Cheryl, one of the things too is, the client has invested so much money, time, even permission from work to be out of the office for 5 6 days. Those little touches really helps them also, helps the client feel welcome, feel like they're in a very family orientated hotel. And the best part is they're gonna come back to you and they wanna plan their next vacation just because of those magical moments.
Because I think that tells them that, they're being seen, that
Exactly.
they see you, they recognize you, they think they're thinking about you, and, who could ask for more? Those are important things. So why don't we talk a little bit about trending destinations? Um,
Like that subject.
yeah, I do too. I love it. So what are some destinations that are currently rising in popularity?
You know, I feel like it hasn't been too long ago, but it feels like it's been too long ago that Italy is that hottest place in Europe. Everyone wants to go to Italy. And if you look back at it, this trend started like a year and a half ago. It hasn't been that long, but everyone is going to Italy. And it's a very romantic country, a lot of different cities that are very romantic. But there's a lot of places in Europe that cannot be left behind. Greece, Mykonos is one of the most beautiful places I've seen. You also had Spain, which is up and coming, Portugal as well. So Europe is always a hot destination. Now, one of the things that we've also seen in the market is Hawaii. Again, with us, since the company is actually from Hawaii, that's where the company was started when we were launched in the market. There's a lot of people that go to Hawaii, and one of the nice things of going to Hawaii too is that you don't need a passport. If you're in the U.S., you just go to Hawaii. It's another state in the U.S. And with Hawaii too, you can do multi-island. There's a lot of people that rent a car and they're going from island to island and just going to different hotels. And then, of course, you have Mexico, the Caribbean. If you're looking for that destination wedding for that social group, one of the big types of groups that we have seen, especially this last year and a half, has been pickleball groups. It's funny to see how pickleball has gotten so popular in the U.S. And a lot of these hotels, they used to have tennis courts and they always were empty because it's always 90 degrees here in Cancun. But now they're putting pickleball courts and you see people playing in the middle of 90-degree weather, getting competitive. It's just an amazing trend. So Mexico and Caribbean for all inclusives are a great, are a great market. And then one of the hottest destinations that we actually just launched last year was Africa. We've seen a lot of trends into people going to safaris in Africa. So, there's a little bit of everything. And what I always tell people is even though maybe this year you're going to Europe, but you really wanted to go to Africa, don't put it out there as something impossible. Go in there with a mindset, enjoy the destination that you went to, and then just start your financial plans. Start saving up for that vacation. Put down a deposit of maybe a trip that it's coming in towards a year and a half out and start putting money together and get that dream vacation going.
Mhm. Absolutely. Another thing that people have been talking about is, especially with the whole issue with cities that are overwhelmed with tourists, and now people are looking for these second city destinations. I think of Barcelona when I think of cities that are oversaturated with travelers, and people not being able to get an necessarily as authentic or of a vacation that they want. Um, can you think of any under the radar destinations that might be of interest to people?
Yes, I mean, it's gonna depend on what the client is looking for. So, for example, the Caribbean, there is a lot of islands. For example, I was just in Aruba 2 weeks ago. We had our national sales meeting there, and I've never been to Aruba. Little did I know that I was gonna fall in love with it. Why? I'm used to seeing beach areas and everything, so there's a lot of these islands that have some really wonderful 4.5, and 5-star hotels. There's Aruba, there's Saint Lucia as well, Curacao. So there's a lot of these destinations that they're not necessarily on top of mind of the client, but those are destinations that exist. For example, if you go to Mexico, yes, Cancun, Riviera Maya might seem saturated, but everything is very well spread out that you don't have to worry about bumping into people versus going to like a Barcelona, which is a city where it's concentrated everything in the center. There's a lot of activities in Europe, and maybe with Classic we don't really sell it. Well, we actually have some cruises available with Scenic, but there's a lot of cruise opportunities that I've seen, clients do, because they're not just necessarily going to one city. They're going to different countries throughout this cruise that gives them the opportunity to stop at different ports, maybe buy a tour when they get to a port. So to avoid that, that going, that worry feeling of going to a city that might be oversaturated, maybe think of a cruise, with tours involved.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. And I know one of some of the things that travelers are really that's I don't know if trending is the right word, but things that travelers are appreciate now more than in the past is experiences over just checking things
Rare
off of their list.
Yes.
Yeah.
But talking about experiences, and you mentioned a great point. Hotels are now offering tons of experiences on their actual hotel stay. Because a lot of times you touched on a great point before, it's just a hotel stay. Here's a list of activities. Here's a pool. Here's a beach. That's it. Now hotels are going for experiences, whether it's live music, whether it's rum tastings in Jamaica, whether it's cooking classes in Mexico. There's a lot of opportunities to just get to know the culture, Mexican nights, Dominican Republic nights, or even in Europe, maybe the hotel already has a lot of history and a lot of culture just because of the hotel. But there's a lot of tours available. I know as a company, we partner with a tour company called Project Expedition, and they offer worldwide tours. And the list of tours that are there are just fascinating because these are tours that I didn't even know they existed. But they really give the opportunity of the client to leave the hotel, especially in Europe, this applies a lot, to go do a tour and get to explore the city instead of going on your own and just trying to figure out what to do next. So, experiences, it is a thing. And with experiences as well, the market is adapting, the hotels are adapting because they want the client to stay in their hotel. So what do? They're investing a lot of money on entertainment. They're investing a lot of moment in those special moments that could happen at the hotel.
Mhm. And that makes us all winners because we all benefit from them, trying
Yes,
to up
especially
their game.
because you're recommending the hotel.
Mhm. Yes, indeed. And another thing that I see, I think is a trend, but I hope it's going to be have some longevity is sustainability. That's been a big topic lately as well. Do you have you noticed
Yes, no, and one of the cool things with sustainability that I know a lot of hotels do is they have their own solar panels. And that's something that I know from my past job, where I worked at. We had some hotels that we actually use solar energy, the sun energy, to actually warm up the water from the spa. So there was a lot of that experience, and I see a lot of hotels continue to adapt that. If you think about it too, a lot of these hotels, they have a roof and they're always empty. So now they're starting to put a lot of these solar panels. One of the things that I saw in my past job too, we had a hotel that we actually had a turtle program. So basically, this was actually an experience with guests. If they wanted to be a part of it, they were helping the turtles making it to the ocean. Because a big problem too is that if the turtle doesn't have the human help, 90% of those turtles that have just been born, they're not going to make it to the ocean and continue reproduce themselves. So there's a lot of sustainability. And, if I'm a client, I challenge you to go to their website and find out more information of what sustainability items are being done. Simple things like plastic versus, paper. There's a lot of things that you're going to be able to see that hotels are doing, because if everyone makes an effort, we can make a difference.
Absolutely, absolutely. It sounds like you probably have lots of stories about, experiences that that clients or travelers rave about with classic vacations. Can you think of
There's
any in particular?
so there's a lot of them, and one of the things that we do as a company, and this goes back to tons of great feedback I've heard from advisors, is that when you book a five-star hotel for any client out there, it could be anywhere in the world. What we do is we're going to be sending an automatic email to the hotel in which we're copying the travel advisor to the hotel, letting them know that the guests are VIP. And of course, everyone is VIP, but here is us, the tour operator, your biggest partner, sending that email to the hotel. And then we copy you. Why? Because by copying you, you're able to really let them know extra details that they need to know. We ask them to extend extra amenities and just making them aware of that reservation. But then the travel advisor goes in and says, not only are they VIP, they're also celebrating their 25th anniversary. So these are things that you combine that action that we do for, again, for anyone that goes going above and beyond for their vacation. And the result is amazing. One of the things that we see hotels is they're very involved too. I've seen guests just showing up to the main lobby, and then you have the general manager and the staff members there, and they're just, greeting the guests, hugging them, making them feel welcome. So that happens across the different hotels that we have in different destinations, and there's nothing but great feedback. And the way that I know that it's been successful is that I see the same clients booking with the same travel advisor 6 months later, 7 months later, because they we're enjoying an amazing experience. So whether it's anniversaries, and what I tell you is, if you're a client out there, it's never too late to celebrate something. Find an excuse to celebrate, whether it's life, whether it's maybe your birthday. Maybe you weren't able to travel on your actual birthday and you were off by 2 or 3 weeks. Celebrate your birthday again. You've earned it. Let your travel advisor know, because we'll make sure to deliver the message to the hotel. And the results are just endless. And again, if anyone is looking for that perfect location, and then you find it and then you add it to the service, there's nowhere where you shouldn't be other than that hotel.
Mhm. Excellent advice. Excellent advice. Well, before we jump into the next question, if you're enjoying this episode, make sure to subscribe to Cheryl's Travel Blueprint so you never miss insider tips, expert interviews, and destination deep dives that will help you travel smarter. So hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening. So why don't we talk a little bit about the advisor-supplier partnership? Okay. Um, and why it matters to use a travel advisor instead of booking online. Because I know a lot of people say, why do I need a travel advisor? I can just go online. What do you say to that?
It's going back into why I work with travel advisors. When you're working with a travel advisor, they're not just looking to close a sale, which is what you're going to get online. You're going to go online, and whatever you search, you're going to close it. The travel advisor is going to bring in their expertise, their vision, their recommendations. You're having someone that is going to find the best for you and your family based on where they have gone, the hotels that they've visited, based on their partnerships as well with their suppliers and hoteliers. But it doesn't end there. And that's what a lot of, what one of the things that I always stress when you're working with a travel advisor. When you're booking online, it just ends when you pay for a booking, and that's it. You pay for it, that's your vacation, and you're going to travel, and that's it. That's the last thing that you're going to hear from the online platform that you book it with. When you're working with a travel advisor, the experience is from the moment that you contact your travel advisor all the way until after you conclude your travel. Why? Because you never know what's going to happen. A travel advisor is always going to be looking out for you, whether it is on trends, whether it is on airline delays, or maybe your flight was canceled. You're going to have your travel advisor that is going to help you through those changes, through those hard times, which right now I'm knocking on wood. You never go through those. Whenever there's, because no one likes to think about issues or cancellations, but these are things that could happen. And when you're working with a travel advisor, when you're booking a vacation with them, it also includes your satisfaction throughout the entire service. And the service doesn't end by just closing a sale. It ends until you come back from that trip and you're home. And of course, you're giving that 5-star review to your travel advisor. So that's what I always tell people. And I can recommend you tons of travel advisors. I'll recommend you right now to reach out to Cheryl. She'll make sure to give you your best quote, your best vacation. But remember, Cheryl is always going to look out for you throughout the entire process, and no one does that. Just a really great qualified travel advisor.
Well, thank you. And and I think that's the best part of this job is the relationships that you form with people. You get to know what people you have to get to know them in order to be able to recommend things to them. And so it's just about relationships and making people happy and sharing the gift of travel with people. It's just I don't know what it is about it, but it's just even though I'm not the one taking the trips, I still it just makes me happy just thinking about all of these places and thinking about the fun that those people are going to have and the stories that they're gonna be able to tell when they come back. So and like you said, just being their advocate is so important, and that's something that they can't get from an online, booking.
No, and with so many and with so many flight delays and so many, hotels out there, like even if you go online and you search a destination or a city, 200, 300 hotels might pop up. And it's like, where do I start?
Mhm,
For me, what's important is the beach. It's a swim up part, maybe by the pool, or that they have night entertainment. Why bother investing time in researching, in going through the websites, when you can hire a travel advisor that, based on what you're looking for, they're going to think about 10 hotels on top of mine based on their experience of what best fits you?
mhm, absolutely. And that's another thing about partnering with Classic Vacations because they can help travel advisors create stream those seamless, stress-free journeys and they and it's so nice because they can help us as travel advisors. You guys help us when we're looking for inspiration. We can look to you as well. Like if it's a place that I don't know, I know that I can talk to you and get more information if it just happens to be a place that I'm not
Yes,
familiar with.
really. And one of the things that makes us unique too is that the people that are helping the travel advisor book the client's vacations, they're qualified to sell the destinations that you're looking for. We have Hawaii specialists, Europe specialists, Africa specialists. So we want to partner up with travel advisors based on what the travel advisor heard from their client that's important for their vacation, to make sure that we're delivering that perfect hotel or even that perfect tour. Because that's also another thing, experiences. We're not talking about a hotel. We're also talking about, okay, I also want to leave the hotel and do something cultural. I want to go out there and play golf, or I want to go out there and I want to do a tour. So it's not just booking a hotel, it's literally booking an entire vacation for a client. And there's a lot of components to that.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think you mentioned before you were talking about, partnering with different people to provide those excursions, and you talked about the hotels that are now starting to offer experiences as well. So those are all tools in the toolkit that
Yes.
help us make them have a great vacation.
Sure.
So, why don't we talk a little bit about planning tips and what travelers should know? Do you have advice for travelers when they're in the process of thinking about their next vacation?
I'm very visual. I love visual. So, I'm one that I'm always going, you know, to YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and just search in their trending destinations or best beaches. If I see something visual, I fall in love with it. And there's a lot of content out there from blogs, there's podcasts like this one that but you need to match everything together to come into one conclusion. Why? Because yes, you might have a nice, beautiful beach on the video that you saw, but maybe you go to a podcast or you go to a blog and maybe there's not a good review on that hotel. So, what I recommend everyone in the audience is first look for that visual because that's where your love's gonna fall is gonna start. And once you have a hotel in mind or so, start investigating about that hotel. Now, putting the package together, don't do that. Work with Cheryl, work with a travel advisor to do all of that for you. Don't even take a look at pricing. You have a travel advisor that can give you even their advice. Maybe you come in, and one of the things that I recommend clients do is coming in prepared to talk to a travel advisor. Why? Because you want to learn from the travel advisor to see if maybe what you're thinking of it's a good idea or maybe it's not, and because maybe it's not that it's not good, but there's a better option out there. And that is where you come into place, learning a little bit about the destinations, researching about podcasts, reviews, and then talk to your travel advisor to make sure that you're getting that vacation right.
Hmm. Words of wisdom. Um, what do you think there's a disconnect or a difference between what people think luxury travel is versus what it actually means?
I feel like there is kind of a disconnect, and I'll tell you why. So luxury, of course, can be determined with five-star hotels, you know, bucket list destinations. But what I've seen over the last year, strong amenities and, you know, history on the hotel. But what I've seen over the last year is how luxury is subject to perception. Maybe for someone, luxury is just having a swim up suite overview of the beautiful ocean of the beach, and for a client, that could be luxury. And I feel like it's our obligation to not tell a client that's not luxury, but to make sure that we're delivering what luxury is for them. So that really, really helps set the standard, especially over this last year, because there's a lot of concepts of luxury, but I feel like whatever luxury is for you, and if that's going to make you happy, and if that is going to take you outside of your stress, outside of your routine, and really enjoy a vacation, move forward with what luxury is for you, because there's tons of different types of luxury. And I think the perfect example, it's like when you go to a cruise. You go to a cruise and it's formal dinner, and then you see people on shorts or a polo, but for them, maybe that's how they want to be, and that's for them what's luxury is, because maybe they're in a suit every day going to work. So it's always so subject to perception. But if what your term of luxury is going to help you relax and enjoy whatever you're enjoying with your family and your vacation, that should be luxury. You shouldn't be told what luxury is.
Absolutely. And I think that goes back to what we were talking about before with relationships, knowing what your clients want that can help them, help you give them that, if, whatever their idea of luxury is, not your idea, but theirs. So going back, yeah, just going back to knowing what they want and having a relationship with them so you can be able to do that for them. Um, so I was gonna ask, what do you think is the best time for a client to book a vacation?
Ooh, that's a good one. So
Mhm.
I feel like the best time is when you and I do this all the time in my personal life. Whenever I'm motivated, whenever I feel like I need to get out of my routine or maybe get out of my comfort zone at work, whenever I see an amazing image that makes me wanna or a video that makes me wanna jump off my seat and say I want to be there, that is where normally I'm putting a deposit for my next vacation. Maybe I might that's not the best advice. Maybe I'll tell you planning your vacation ahead of time is the best advice, but I'm an emotional person when it comes to vacation and selling. So I tell you, if your gut tells you, call your travel advisor and book that vacation. Because a lot of times, remember, especially if you do it 6 months ahead or 7 months ahead, you don't have to pay in full at the time of reservation. You can put down a deposit, and then once you have your deposit down, you have something to work with to start saving up for that vacation. So now, if you want to look at the other side, if you plan ahead, a year and a half up to even sometimes 2 years, you're probably going to get a really good deal. So make sure that you're also planning ahead to get good deals. There's no perfect timing, and especially if you want to save a little bit more money, try to travel outside of the high seasons. For example, summer is a high season for families. Why? Because kids are out from school. Christmas, it's very high demand because everyone is leaving. Thanksgiving as well too. So if you can look outside of that, you could probably find a better deal. But again, if you feel like it's time to travel and you have maybe vacation days at work and you see this really inspiring video, then go for it.
I love that answer. It's the whatever's the right time for you is the right time, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And I think it's also important just to be flexible with if you can, to be flexible with your dates and to be flexible maybe even with the cities that you're thinking about visiting, like we were talking about earlier, if you have a certain city that you wanna go to, there's cities that are similar, like if it's, oversaturated,
Yeah.
there's alternatives to those kinds of cities, and that's why it's always good to have that travel advisor relationship because they'll be in your corner, they can do that research for you. That
Yes,
way
and be open to suggestions too. Be open to
Mhm.
suggestions.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely. Okay, so I have, I guess we sometimes call it the rapid fire round. I have a few questions for you.
All right. Perfect.
What's your favorite destination for food?
Ooh, I don't like to be biased. I love Mexico. If I go to Mexico City, I can eat breakfast, like amazing breakfast and maybe 20 different types of breakfast. You have tacos, you have Mexican food, and then also have access to international food. So I'll probably stick with Mexico City. That might sound boring, but that's where I had the best food ever.
No, whatever's, if it's good, that's not boring. Can you think of a hotel that surprised you?
I'm gonna have to go. I was in Saint Lucia, I think like 2 or 3 months ago, and I stayed in the Windjammer landings. And one of the things that blew my mind is that we stayed in a villa, and basically it's a high rise villa, so it's in a mountain. So every time that we open like the balcony of the villa, the view is just it's an amazing view from literally the middle of the mountain. You're seeing all the landscape, the beach area, high rises, all the catamarans in there. So that really, really blew my mind, especially with St. Lucia having so many pythons, which are mind blowing just seeing there. And I live in Cancun where everything is flat, like the ocean and the beach is flat. There's no mountains and everything. So that was really eye opening. And I've been to other destinations, but that one just staying there and just opening the balcony every day and seeing that view from that high rise, it's amazing.
Mhm. Beautiful. Okay. What was your most memorable travel moment?
Ooh, maybe my wife's not hearing me, but I have to go when I got engaged.
Uh-huh.
So that was probably my favorite vacation and my most memorable moment. And she was also a cast member at Disney. And that's where we kind of met. And we actually got engaged at Disney. Yeah, you guessed it.
Wow.
So we got engaged at Epcot, and we during that trip we did 4 nights at Disney for 4 parks and 2 nights at Universal for 2 parks. So you can imagine how tired we finished after that trip.
For sure. Oh, well, that's unforgettable for sure. What's one underrated destination you wished more people would ask about?
Ooh, that's definitely Tahiti or Fiji. I I just I haven't been there,
Mhm.
but I've seen so much promotional and so much talk when I talk to travel advisors about it. And just thinking about those overwater bungalows, that's just a
Mm.
perfect romantic. experience that anyone needs to go to, and especially the crystal clear water too. So those two destinations, they're great opportunities if you can go.
Wow. I just feel like getting on a plane right now.
Don't tell me that because I'll book my vacation at.
Oh, seriously, I'm due for a vacation, so I am looking at some options right now.
Yes, yes.
So, so basically, I guess, in closing, do you have any final words of travel wisdom for us?
I recommend everyone to challenge yourself to travel around the world. There's so many incredible destinations, so many cultures to learn from, so many cuisines to try. There's tons of opportunities and the connectivity is there. Take a look at where you currently live. There's international airports. You can take a plane and just take a direct flight anywhere you want to. There's so much connectivity. Challenge yourself to get to know around the world. That's what I'm going to be doing over the last 5, 10 years. Just travel, get to know the world because there's so many different experiences out there. And it's also good as well to come back home and even brag about those experiences and share with your loved ones, with your friends, how easy it is to get there. So always do that. Make sure that you have an opportunity to travel around the world with or with you without your family. And always have a travel advisor help you organize a vacation because even though there's so much access online with, on Google, uh, TikToks or, social media, you always need that person to guide you because it could be overwhelming. There's a lot of hotels out there, there's a lot of tours out there, there's a lot of options out there. Let a travel advisor guide you through the process because you're not just paying for a vacation, you're paying for an experience and a service that the travel advisor is providing you.
Mhm. Okay. Beautiful words of wisdom. I thank you so much. Thank you for your expertise and your partnership with my travel agency, and I'm looking forward to spending more time getting to know you and working together.
Yes, of course. I look forward to it. Everyone have an amazing day. And thank you, Cheryl, for this invitation to come to your podcast or video.
I appreciate you coming. And I want to say to the audience that's listening, thank you for tuning in. And if today's conversation inspired you to elevate your next vacation with a curated, stress free experience, connect with me at Nostalgic Travel. I'd love to help you plan something extraordinary. And don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who loves to travel.